called Chunt.
Oh, yes, Uncle Chunty.
Ahoy there! Today I want to talk about this newfangled Duke. Well, it's not new so much anymore, but it is new to me. I finally got myself one of these Hyperkin Duke controllers. Goddamn, I wish this was wireless. Let's just go have a look right now. So the box, you can see, it's an Xbox licensed box. It's pretty straightforward. It just tells us what it looks like, that it's wired. It shows there in the little slideshow type scenario of the Xbox button on the front. Plays the original Xbox animated startup, which is just such a nice touch. Don't be fooled, this is actually a Hyperkin product. It's third party, just licensed by Xbox officially. And you can see on the back here, you get the idea of how they've tried to make it more usable for today. You can see on the front just before, there's the white and black buttons. You can now use them, but also you can use the shoulder buttons on top as well. They mirror each other, so it doesn't really matter. And you still got your triggers, got the headphone jack at the bottom, just as we mentioned, the animated feature on the startup screen, right in the center of the controller. Still has vibration feedback, which is good, and a 9-foot detachable USB cable. 9 foot, that's pretty damn long. Alright, let's get this baby out of the box. Your standard thank you letter, specifically mentioning Seamus Blackley there. Now there's a story there. So this controller, this particular controller, it shouldn't exist. I'm surprised I'm actually holding this in my hand right now. This was not anyone's favorite controller, besides mine. I love this design, this controller. And the only reason why this controller, I'll hold it the other way around so you can actually see it. The only reason why this controller is that big is because the people that made the board for the controller made it huge. It was way too big. The story goes something like this. When they were making the boards for the controller, they sent it to some group that weren't overly proficient in making minimized controller boards. So what they supplied with them, it was coming too close to the production timeline to actually redo it again. So they were like, oh god, what are we going to do with this? This is too huge. They didn't have time to compact it further. So from there they sourced a designer and she came up with numerous designs for this thing. And this one just turned out to be what they ended up using. Specifically this large to house the actual board that was inside the original Duke controller. That's the only reason why it is that big. They did not intentionally go out of their way to be like, let's make the biggest controller ever. It's just an event of circumstances. And I, for one, am thankful for such events that took place. I still hold this to a great deal of favoritism. I love this controller thoroughly. It feels great. It feels good in my hand. It makes sense. Us big guys like to have something that we can just be proud of and hold on to. Like, I don't have small hands, right? And god, they look huge on this camera, but I used to think I had small hands until I got one of these, and I realized no, I don't. I actually have pretty decently sized hands. Not the biggest, but big enough that I can hold this thing in one hand, you know. And it was great to get, back in the day, something that I can just wrap my hands into and just go nuts. And it felt comfortable. I never liked the Controller S model that came after this. So when I say this controller shouldn't exist, they replaced this with the Controller S that I just mentioned, which is a significantly smaller controller, and that was specifically for the Japanese market. Because when they came overseas and presented them with the controller that looks like this, they were all like, what the hell? What is this? We don't want this. So the Controller S was released, and this Duke model, it was never officially called Duke, it was just term or phrase kindly given to the controller design. That this faded out. They phased this right out. No longer was it bundled with the console from that point on. And that's why you see following precursor controllers, they all kind of stay around that small design. So this was widely panned by many critics when the Xbox launched. They were all like, what is this? This is too huge, this is stupid, this is dumb. Why did they do this? So that's why I'm stressing the point that this thing shouldn't exist. It was hated by the industry. It was only people like me that were waving this flag for so many years. And then Seamus Blackley on Twitter one day shared something with us. He was going through some prototype stuff, some bits and pieces and parts with the original Xbox design. I'm not sure if that was an actual 3D printed coverage at the time, or if it was an original thing that he took apart. But he shared on Twitter one day a model of this, where he fabricated some very small LCD screen in the middle. And he just posted like, hey, isn't this cool? You know, wouldn't this be great? And it just took off like wildfire, man. And I was one of the people that we retweeted and shared it and went nuts about it. And we're going, holy crap, I want one of these. Can you please make them? And it was going nuts. So to the point where it got such good feedback. That wasn't the intention. He was just mucking around one day. And he just happened to share it. So anyway, it got to a point where there was enough conversation out there on social media about it, where Seamus Blackley, like, he was the godfather of the original Xbox, right? So he's been in the traps and the wars and all that kind of stuff from the early days of the Xbox, and he's done countless other things. So he approaches Microsoft and is just like, hey, so this is the thing, can we do this? And Microsoft was like, yeah, sure, cool, go ahead. We'll license it, basically. So the conversation started with Hyperkin. I'm sure they might have spoken to others, but Xbox have a strong relationship and partnership with Hyperkin, with several other kind of peripherals and controllers and stuff. So it just made sense, a logical move. So they approached them, and it was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And they unveiled it, and everybody was like, it was a mixture of, holy crap, they're actually doing this, and what the hell, who's asking for this? But there was a loud enough crowd, like me, that were like, holy crap, yes! Yes, I can't believe it. Like, it just makes sense. This is essentially Xbox's mini console. I know it sounds funny, it's a controller, right? But the Xbox One is backwards compatible with the original Xbox, and to some degree. There are a number, I think 30 or so games at the moment. I'll have to double check that, but at the moment, about 30 odd games on the original Xbox that are backwards compatible on the Xbox One. So you can put your disc in and just play the game, or you can buy them digitally off the store. So they just figured, let's release a controller. I'm assuming instead of making a mini Xbox, we have backwards compatible options on our current console, and this will satiate that need. It makes total sense. However, if they did happen to bring out a mini Xbox, I would buy it. Not gonna lie, and maybe bundle this in with it. Yeah, so my main gripe is that it's not wireless, right? It comes with a wire, like USB cable, that 9-foot one that we just spoke of this before. Makes sense though, because this LED screen, it's constantly on, and when you push it, it's essentially your Xbox Home guide button. And whenever you press it, the Xbox boot sequence plays just like the old days. It's very cool. What a great touch. I did hear whispers, I could be wrong, that they wanted to do that initially when they were drafting up the original Xbox. So how you see on the original controller, that giant X jewel in the middle, they really wanted to put a screen in there. That's just what I heard as a rumor, but obviously costs back then, that was never going to happen. But we got it now. So I think that's another reason why it exists in this iteration of it, because that was the original intention. Anyway, that's enough about me rambling on. Let's go back to the actual footage of the controller itself. Here's the brief instruction booklet, setup guide in your multiple languages. And here's the beauty itself. The Xbox Duke controller. My goodness. As I just mentioned, this should not exist, but it does. And I'm so elated to finally own one of these. I'm well behind the ball on this one. This has been out for quite some time, but I've only just finally managed to get around to getting one. I was a bit concerned that I was going to miss out completely. But yeah, I pulled the trigger on it, and here we are. Couldn't be happier. I will say off the bat, it does feel significantly lighter than the original mold or the original controller. I'm assuming that's just because of the plastics that are used. The original controller was just, you couldn't kill it. It was unbreakable and solid and chunky. This one has the same feel. The triggers aren't as tight, or you don't need to push down as much on them. These actual bumpers at the top here that mirror the white and black buttons, they're actually not obtrusive, or they're not out of the way. It's not difficult to reach them. That was one of my main concerns. So that's surprising and pleasing. One thing I never noticed, that there's no Microsoft logo on here at all, like the original. Interesting. And as you can see, here is the Xbox guide button lighting up. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my god. I will never get over that. I am happy to see that I will deal with a 9-foot USB cable if this is the price I need to pay in order to have this here. I'm totally okay with that. Would I prefer a wireless controller and still have that function? Yes. I will recharge it often if I need to, if it's going to drain power, but I'll take what I can get. I'm lucky and proud and ecstatic and elated and everything that this even exists today. So let's do some comparisons with the original controller. As you can see, they've stayed true to the original design, the original beautiful large beauty it is. I am so happy. I think I'm the only person that I know that loves this controller this much. It is my favorite controller ever. And now I can play my new games with this on my Xbox One. Or on Windows. It's compatible with both machines. Again, you can see the difference between the logo on the original controller. The jewel in the middle, the logo is quite substantially larger compared to the new one. Obviously that's probably due to just a pricing thing, so we've got a smaller display screen in there. The start and select buttons are replaced by the view and menu buttons on the Xbox One. I never got used to those. I'm hoping next time in the next console I go back to start and select. Just keep it easy, mate. Overall, this is an honest to god, legit, very well produced product. Definitely made with some love and care. It's definitely not something that they've just thrown together just for the sake of it. Again, this shouldn't exist by all purposes. No one liked this, and you know, a small percentage of us, yes, but essentially no one liked this Duke design. So what company goes out of their way to bring back something that no one liked? I don't know, but I'm forever thankful. Forever thankful. And if I can, one day I might even pick up a second one, just to have another one, just in case. Okay, so that's my look at this Duke controller. I'm very excited. I love this thing. I'm so happy. I made a shotgun decision to buy it, and I'm actually quite happy I did. Just, yeah, it's unreal, man. I enjoyed the story of the Duke. It's like the underdog. The events that happened to actually make this thing. It's bombastic, it's in your face, it's large and in charge and proud. And, you know, it's me. I look at this controller and I'm like, I think they made it for me. And that's just what it feels like. It just feels like a controller that I would approve. You know, I love it. Love it so much. And yeah, so I'm in my Xbox bloody mind frame at the moment where I'm buying classic games for my original system. Simply not only for an excuse just to use a Duke, but because I love that console so much. And now I can play those Xbox games that are compatible with the Xbox One, and they're like, some of them are even X enhanced, so they're super crispy. Super crispy. And I can play it with the Duke and still follow that experience over to 4K, you know, ridiculous. What a time to be alive. You know, there's a lot of stuff going wrong in the world and in my world. You know, life challenges and everything, but it's stuff like this. Stuff like this that we just go, you know what? That's tomorrow's problem. I'll deal with it later. I'm just happy that I have this. Is it stupid to be so happy over an inanimate object? Yes. But I don't give two shits. Anyway, my name's Uncle Chunt. Subscribe if you haven't already, and toodaloos.